Dr. Isabella Chen smoothed the silk fabric of her sapphire evening gown, watching her husband Marcus Sterling work the room with practiced ease. The Grand Pacific Hotel ballroom glittered with crystal chandeliers and the expensive jewelry adorning Seattle's tech elite. 6 years ago, Isabella had been a rising star in astrophysics, working on revolutionary theories about dark matter at the Morrison Institute. Then she met Marcus at a fundraiser, and everything changed. He swept her off her feet with romantic gestures and promises of a life where she could focus on her research without financial stress. Within 8 months, they were married. Within a year, Marcus had convinced her that working in a lab was unnecessary, that she should focus on being the perfect wife, hosting dinner parties, supporting his career. Isabella had set aside her doctorate work, her research, her dreams. Now, at 32, she stood alone near the champagne fountain, watching Marcus network with potential investors. She'd been standing there for 20 minutes, invisible. Isabella decided to join him. After all, she had a PhD in astrophysics. When she overheard them discussing satellite technology and space-based data centers, she knew she could contribute meaningfully. She approached the circle where Marcus stood with 3 men in expensive suits. She recognized one as David Rothman, CEO of Quantum Aerospace, a company whose work she'd followed closely. "Marcus," she said softly, touching his arm. "Mr. Rothman, it's wonderful to see you again. I've been following Quantum's work on satellite constellations. The orbital mechanics required for that configuration are fascinating." Marcus's body went rigid. His jaw clenched in that way Isabella had learned to recognize, the way that meant she'd displeased him. David looked intrigued. "You understand orbital mechanics?" "I have a PhD in astrophysics from MIT," Isabella said. "Actually, the gravitational perturbations in your planned configuration could." Marcus's hand gripped her elbow, hard enough to hurt. "Darling, why don't you go check on the silent auction?" "I thought I could contribute to the conversation," Isabella replied, confusion mixing with hurt. "This is literally my field of expertise." The look Marcus gave her could have frozen fire. He leaned in close, his voice low but cutting. "Stay away. You're embarrassing me. Go find something else to do." The world tilted. Isabella felt heat flood her face as the men shifted uncomfortably, having clearly heard enough. One younger man looked away, giving her privacy in her humiliation. But there was no privacy. Several guests had noticed the exchange. Isabella could feel their eyes, some pitying, others merely curious about the drama. She stepped back, pulling her arm from Marcus's grip. Her throat felt tight, but she refused to cry. "Not here." Without a word, she turned and walked away, her heels clicking against marble with each measured step. She didn't run. She wouldn't give anyone the satisfaction. Isabella found refuge near the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Seattle sparkled below, thousands of lights representing thousands of lives, all suddenly seeming more appealing than her own. How many times had this happened? How many times had Marcus dismissed her, diminished her, made her feel small? She'd made excuses for years. He was stressed. He was protecting business relationships. But standing there, looking at her reflection, a beautiful woman in an expensive dress who felt absolutely worthless, Isabella finally admitted the truth. This wasn't about stress. This was about control. Behind her, she heard women talking, their voices carrying. "That's Marcus Sterling's wife. Poor thing. He treats her like decoration. I heard he mocked her PhD at a dinner party last month. Called it a vanity degree." Isabella's hands trembled. She turned slightly and saw the women, both wives of Marcus's colleagues. They noticed her looking and appeared embarrassed before moving away. But the damage was done. Isabella made her way to the bathroom, needing a moment alone. She stared at herself in the mirror. Her makeup was perfect, her hair elegantly styled, her dress probably cost more than most people made in a month. But inside she felt hollow. The door opened and an older woman entered, someone Isabella vaguely recognized from previous events. The woman paused, taking in Isabella's expression. "My dear," she said gently, "whatever you're thinking about doing, do it. Life is too short to spend making yourself smaller for a man who can't see your worth." "How did you know?" Isabella whispered. "Because 30 years ago, I stood exactly where you're standing. I stayed. I regret it every day. Don't make my mistake." After the woman left, Isabella remained, something crystallizing inside her. She thought about the girl she used to be, the one who spent nights analyzing star charts, who could explain quantum mechanics for hours, who had Dr. Isabella told him an abbreviated version: the marriage, the lost years, the rebuilding. Ethan listened without judgment. "I can't pay much," he said finally. "But I need someone with your expertise. Interested?" That's how Isabella found herself back in research, working nights at the observatory while rebuilding her professional reputation. Ethan was different from Marcus in every way: collaborative where Marcus had been controlling, curious where Marcus had been dismissive. They fell into an easy rhythm, analyzing data, discussing theories, staying late to observe particularly interesting phenomena. Isabella felt her mind awakening again, remembering what it felt like to think, to contribute, to matter. One night, after a particularly successful observation of a distant supernova, Ethan grew quiet. "There's something I need to tell you," he said. "Something that might change everything." Isabella's heart quickened. "What is it?" "I have a daughter. Nova. She's 9 years old." He pulled out his phone, showing Isabella a photo. A small girl with Ethan's features smiled at the camera, but her skin had a subtle purple tone that shimmered. "Her mother wasn't human," Ethan said quietly. "She was an alien astrophysicist studying Earth's technological development. We fell in love. She died when Nova was born from biological incompatibility." His voice cracked. "I've kept Nova hidden because if anyone discovered her, she'd be taken from me. Studied. Dissected. Treated like a specimen." Isabella stared at the photo, then at Ethan. "Where is she?" "At my house. She's never been to school, never played with other children. She's brilliant, already understands graduate-level physics, but she's so lonely. I want to meet her," Isabella said without hesitation. That weekend, Ethan brought Isabella to his secure home in the mountains. Through reinforced doors, they entered a space filled with scientific equipment, books, and learning materials. Nova sat reading, her purple skin glowing softly in the lamplight. When she looked up, her eyes were deep purple, otherworldly and brilliant. "Nova, this is Dr. Isabella Chen. She's a colleague." The girl studied Isabella with intensity beyond her years. "Your cortisol levels are elevated. Nervous about meeting me?" "A little," Isabella admitted, kneeling. "But mostly excited. Your dad says you love astrophysics. I'm studying quantum entanglements application to faster-than-light communication. Father thinks it's theoretical, but mother's people achieved it." Over the following weeks, Isabella visited daily. She brought physics puzzles, worked through equations with Nova, treated her like the prodigy she was. The girl bloomed, laughing and playing in ways Ethan said she never had. Meanwhile, Isabella and Ethan made a breakthrough, discovering evidence of a previously unknown type of stellar object that could revolutionize understanding of stellar evolution. Their excitement was palpable as they prepared to publish. One night, after Nova was asleep, Ethan pulled Isabella close on the deck overlooking the mountains. "I'm falling in love with you," he said simply. "I have been since you walked into the observatory and fixed my calculations." Isabella's heart soared. "I'm falling in love with you too. With both of you. You've reminded me who I am." Their kiss was tender and deep, months of tension finally released. When they broke apart, both breathing heavily, Ethan cupped her face. "Are you sure about this? About us? About Nova? This life is complicated, always hiding, always afraid." "I've never been more sure," Isabella whispered. But their happiness was shattered when Marcus appeared at the observatory the next week, his expression cold. "So this is where you've been hiding? Playing scientist again with your little boyfriend?" He looked around dismissively. "I'm willing to take you back, Isabella. This divorce doesn't have to happen." "I'm not coming back, Marcus. Ever." Marcus's eyes narrowed. "I've done research on Dr. Cross. Interesting that he has a daughter no one's ever seen. Very interesting that there are no birth records, no school enrollment." He pulled out his phone, showing blurry photos of Nova, her purple skin visible. "I wonder what the government would pay for this information." Isabella felt the blood drain from her face. "Leave her alone," Ethan said, stepping forward. "This is between you and Isabella." "No, this is about teaching my wife a lesson." Marcus smiled coldly. "You have two choices, Isabella. Come back to me, or I expose the freak. Your call." For 3 days, Isabella agonized. Marcus had given her until the International Astrophysics Conference, where she and Ethan were scheduled to present their breakthrough discovery, to decide. "You should go back to him," Ethan said, though the words clearly devastated him. "I can't let Nova be exposed because of me." "No," Isabella said firmly. "I'm done letting Marcus control my life. We find another way." At the conference, Isabella stood backstage, preparing for their presentation to hundreds of the world's leading astrophysicists. This was her moment, her chance to reclaim her place in science. Then Marcus walked onto the stage. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announced, "I need to make a correction. The research you're about to hear wasn't done by Dr. Chen and Dr. Cross. Dr. Chen consulted on a project I funded, and I'm the primary investigator." The audience murmured in confusion. Isabella felt rage flood through her. Marcus continued, "In fact, Dr. Chen hasn't published original research in years. She's been." "That's a lie," Isabella said, walking onto the stage. Her voice was steady despite her shaking hands. "And I can prove it." She pulled up her tablet, projecting her research notes, dated observations, mathematical derivations, all time-stamped and verified. "This is my work. Mine and Dr. Cross's. Marcus Sterling has never set foot in an observatory. He doesn't even understand basic calculus." She turned to the audience. 6 years ago, my husband convinced me to abandon my career. He told me I was embarrassing, that my PhD was a vanity degree. He controlled every aspect of my life until 3 months ago when he publicly humiliated me at a gala for trying to contribute to a conversation about space technology, my own field." Isabella's voice grew stronger. "He's here today because he discovered something about Dr. Cross's family that he's using as blackmail. He thinks he can force me back into submission by threatening a child. But I'm done being controlled." She looked directly at Marcus. "You told me to stay away because I embarrassed you. But the only embarrassment here is you, a man so insecure that he has to destroy others to feel powerful." The audience erupted. Conference organizers rushed the stage. Marcus tried to speak, but Dr. Sarah Martinez, the conference chair, cut him off. "Mr. Sterling, you need to leave immediately. We'll be investigating these claims." As security escorted Marcus out, Isabella presented her research with Ethan beside her. The response was overwhelming: standing ovation, immediate interest from major institutions. But the cost was high. Marcus, in his rage, leaked Nova's existence to every media outlet he could find. The next 72 hours were chaos. Media camped outside Ethan's house. Government agencies demanded access to Nova. The story went global: alien child hidden by astrophysicist. But something unexpected happened. The scientific community rallied. Dr. Martinez issued a statement condemning Marcus's blackmail and supporting Isabella's research. Dozens of prominent scientists signed a letter defending Ethan's right to protect his daughter. Legal experts argued that Nova, regardless of her genetics, deserved the same rights as any child. Marcus faced investigation for blackmail, fraud, and harassment. His reputation crumbled as people came forward with stories of his manipulation and control. Isabella and Ethan made a decision. They couldn't stay in Seattle with media attention on Nova, so they accepted positions at a private research facility in the Colorado mountains, secure, isolated, and welcoming. 6 months later, Isabella stood in their new home, watching Nova play in the meadow behind their house. The girl's purple skin glowed in sunlight as she chased butterflies, finally free to be herself. Ethan wrapped his arms around Isabella from behind. "You gave up everything for us." "I gave up a prison," Isabella corrected. "And gained everything that matters." They'd gotten married in a small ceremony with just David and a few close colleagues. Isabella had continued her research, publishing groundbreaking papers. She'd just been nominated for the Kavli Prize, one of astrophysics' highest honors. "Marcus called today," Ethan said quietly. "From jail. His lawyer wants to settle the divorce quickly to avoid more publicity." "Good." Isabella had no sympathy left for her ex-husband. He'd tried to destroy her and ended up destroying himself. That evening, Dr. Martinez called. "Isabella, I have news. You've won the Breakthrough Prize. $3 million in recognition as one of the year's most important scientific contributors." Isabella felt tears stream down her face. The award wasn't just about money, it was validation. Proof that she belonged in science, that her work mattered, that she was exactly who she'd always been meant to be. At the award ceremony 3 months later, Isabella stood at the podium, looking out at the world's leading scientists. "6 years ago, my husband told me to stay away from a conversation because I was embarrassing him," she said. "He made me believe I had nothing valuable to contribute. But the truth is, I was never the embarrassment, he was. He was so threatened by my knowledge, my passion, my brilliance, that he spent years trying to extinguish it." She paused, her voice growing stronger. "I'm here today because I finally chose myself. I chose my dreams over his approval. I chose authenticity over his control. And I found not just my career again, but a family who celebrates exactly who I am." She looked at Ethan and Nova in the front row. "To everyone who's been told they're too much, too smart, too ambitious, too anything, don't you dare make yourself smaller. Find people who want you to shine, not dim your light to make them comfortable." The standing ovation lasted 5 minutes. Later, as they celebrated at their mountain home, Nova brought out a drawing she'd made, Isabella, Ethan, and herself standing beneath a sky full of stars. "We're a constellation," Nova said. 3 points of light that found each other across the darkness. Isabella pulled the girl close, thinking about the journey. Marcus had told her she was embarrassing. He'd tried to make her small, insignificant, worthless. But she'd proven him spectacularly wrong. She'd rebuilt her career, made groundbreaking discoveries, won prestigious awards. She'd found love with someone who celebrated her brilliance. She'd gained a daughter who reminded her daily what unconditional acceptance looked like. Marcus Sterling had insulted her in front of everyone, trying to break her. Instead, she'd made him, and the world, eat his words. The woman he'd dismissed as embarrassing was now one of the most respected astrophysicists in the world. The wife he'd controlled had become a prize-winning scientist. The person he'd tried to diminish had proved she was extraordinary. And the best part? She'd done it all by simply being herself, brilliant, passionate, and unashamed. As stars appeared over the mountains and her family gathered close, Isabella smiled. Marcus had wanted her to stay away from what made her who she was. She'd done the opposite. She'd run toward it, embraced it, let it define her. And in doing so, she discovered her greatest victory wasn't proving him wrong, it was proving herself right. She was never the embarrassment. She was the triumph.